Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Do we have enough space?
So I can move over here.
No, she didn't stand here. There you go. The three famous.
X.
Sure. Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for coming. We wrapped up the Andrews Share incident yesterday. Our incident command team, made up of numerous volunteers, county and federal employees, disbanded. And the Andrews Share family had a nice quiet evening to themselves last night, but in retrospect, realized that they had not had a chance as a family to express their thanks for the efforts that went into the incident over the last couple of days. So that's our intent this morning, is to give them the time to thank everyone for all of the responders and personnel that assisted with the search. And it's just so wonderful to have the family all here together. You know, one thing I thought about this morning, it's really interesting how quickly you develop friendships with people when you're in a situation that's very stressful. So it's my pleasure now to turn this over to my new friend, Eric Andrews Share.
First of all, I'd just like to introduce everybody. So this is my lovely wife, Shirley, and then this is Kelsey and Aaron and Megan. So we are very thankful to be back together as a family. It was, as you could imagine, a very trying experience for all folks involved. We would just really like to thank all of the people that helped us out. When we first got here, I arrived on Wednesday afternoon. Shirley had been working over the phone with the local Teton Sheriff's Department. They were the first folks to engage us as we began our search for the girls who were past due from the time that they were scheduled to be and meeting us in Chicago. We engaged Chet and Slade and got the initial experience going for us, and they were great to work with. The local law enforcement here in the Sheriff's Department just second to none. You guys should be very thankful that you have them. So then once we engaged with that group, they quickly got us connected with the area search and rescue teams and all of the Park Service folks as we began to engage in the search and rescue operation for the girls. The interesting thing that I learned as well as we began to engage with folks is the numerous people who were volunteering their time, their effort, their dogs, their horses, their employers who are letting them out of their day jobs to come and do search and rescue for our kids. I learned that, again, many of them are volunteers, and it was just kind of an overwhelming thing to see. People coming from Wyoming, from I think Idaho, and Salt Lake City, just all over the place to come and help us find our girls. It was just kind of an amazing thing to see. So we're just very thankful for that. We're very thankful for the community of Jackson and Jackson Hole in the area. As we arrived here, people just opened up their arms to us as a family. And from the folks at the hotel that we're staying at to just people that we'd meet along the way, that they were just kind and generous and helpful to all of us. So we're just very thankful for that.
I'm Megan, and I also just wanted to say how thankful we are for the whole search and rescue team and all the volunteers. It was truly stunning to see all the people that had come out to look for us, and we arrived in the helicopter, and then when we arrived at the center where all the search was taking place. So again, just so thankful for that and glad to be out safe.
Hi, I'm Erin, and I'm just gonna second what Megan said and just say really, again, I was truly overwhelmed, and when I saw the site as we landed in the helicopter, I realized that there was no way people were gonna give up on the search, and that was something that, you know, crossed my mind a couple of times, but I saw this army of people ready to come out for us, and I knew there was no giving up. So it just shows the power of this community. Thanks.
And so just lastly, we're thankful for all the folks here in the Jackson area, thankful for all the folks that have been praying for us in our communities in Columbus, Ohio, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, in Phoenix, Arizona, places that we've all lived, and communities, well, we're finding around the United States who've been reaching out to us and praying for us and our family. So thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about what it was like out there? You said it crossed your mind that did it ever cross your mind that you were going to be stuck out there for a lot longer?
You know, we took it on a day-to-day basis, so it was really, you just got to get through each day, and that's what we did.
Can you guys tell us at what point did you really start to shift and get more concerned after spending a few days out in the forest?
I think we'd really just like to stick to the, you know, we're so thankful for everybody who came out to help us and not really go into the story.
Yeah, I think the most important thing that they did to help themselves was to stay put. They did all the things that you'd want your kids to do from a standpoint of what to do in a backcountry situation that might be escalated, is just to stay put and wait for help to come, and that's exactly what they did.
Can you tell us just about that moment you saw that helicopter and knew that you were going to be rescued?
I guess I'm going to pass on that question too.
I did want to thank the media because you are a source not only of information but of educational opportunities for the public. And we realized that was something that was very well covered in the media, all of the things that these girls did right. They went into the backcountry very well prepared. They had all the right equipment. They had all the right clothing. They had water filter. They had everything that they needed. And so thank you, as the media, for letting the public know the importance of being well prepared and also the importance of just staying put and knowing that eventually someone will come and help you out.
Yeah, there's a picture that I think represents the smiles on their faces and that of mine when I got out of the helicopter, or when they got out of the helicopter and I met them. I think that face tells the story of how excited they were to be rescued and to be seen.
You guys elaborate at all just about your experience and what it was like? I mean, there was hundreds of people looking for you, and what it was like waiting and going through this experience.
Honestly, they didn't know. They didn't know that. I had no idea until late yesterday that there was any media coverage, that there was any social media coverage or any news coverage. We were completely and totally unaware, and that was probably a good thing for just our own well-beings. It's nice to see, and we're thankful for all the people who've been concerned about us and our family, but they had no idea. We had no idea that there was that much media coverage going on.
From Columbus, I covered a vigil out there this week. Obviously, they're thrilled that you three were found. When can they expect family to return there? It's a question they have.
Yeah, so and one of the things we wanted to do today is just meet with everybody, answer as many questions as we can, and as well as we want to choose to answer as well. Kelsey and I are heading back today, but one of the things that we want to make sure that we do is give everybody the opportunity to ask questions, and then we're actually a kind of a shy family. We'd like to go back and blend into society again and do our thing and not be on national TV and not be on websites. We just want to return to our our normal life, participate in our communities, participate in our faith community, our neighborhood communities, all the communities that we participate in, including, communities like the Hike Here community who came out and really did great work for us. We just like to return and get back. So, Kelsey and I will go to church on Sunday. We'll start to get back into our regular routine, and we'd appreciate trying to get back into a regular routine.
Will you guys come back camping in Jackson ever?
Absolutely. It's a beautiful place. Shirley and I were actually out here before we were married in high school, and we hiked in the Teton National Park. We were also in the Teton National Forest, and we got lost. And we followed. We were with a large group. It was a youth group at the time. We had a map. We had a compass. We followed our way out based on a river, based on the map, and got ourselves back to the trail that we were supposed to be on, and then headed into the Teton National Park, where the trails are much more downtrodden, very clear to see, and have great signage and things. Not so much in the Teton National Forest, and that's one of the fun things about being in the forest is you don't have thousands of hikers out there. You can choose to be all alone if you want to be, and that's part of the challenge of being in the Teton National Forest is you can be very alone.
What's the trick to raising 3 strong, competent women like you guys now?
It's all Shirley. It's all her.
Okay. Could you say a couple of words?
No, she don't. Okay.
No, but clearly you must be very proud of these girls, and
we're very
that they did everything right.
We're a close family. One of the things that we've done as a family when the kids were much younger is we went on backpacking trips as a family. Kelsey was 4 or 5 years old at the time. People always thought I was a little bit crazy taking my 3 daughters and wife out into the woods on backpacking adventures. Simply, it's not easy just to go to the bathroom as a girl. Those are things that are hard when you take kids backcountry. But we had some fun experiences. We reminisced last night about an experience that we had up in Banff. The kids obviously much younger. It was in August, and we got caught actually in a snowstorm. We had a foot of snow. One of the tents that we had for the kids caved in, so we all moved into the 3-person tent, which coincidentally they were in over this last 10-day period. And we as a family of 5 basically sat in that tent for the better part of 24 hours, waited out the snowstorm, let the snow melt to a point where we could actually see the trail again, and then we hiked out. So a lot of it is just experience sets that you have. Things that you do for summer jobs. Megan's been a backwoods canoe guide for up in the Boundary Waters in northern Minnesota. So our kids have had some great outdoors experiences. They've been out in the woods before. They're not afraid to be out in the woods. They know how to prepare. They know how to take the right gear, and a little help from Shirley and I, and they're always well prepared to go on their adventures. So.
I know your faith is very important. I'd love to hear from the 3 of you how it helped you while you were out there.
I guess I'll just say a little something. To be honest, it was what got us through. So just trusting in God and knowing that He was going to carry us through, and really that's the only thing that can keep you sane in the wilderness for 6 days, not knowing what's going on the other end. And so there's a lot of praying, a lot of trust in Him, and looking for signs and little things like a rainbow to show you that God's really taking care of you. And we knew we had communities of faith and people praying for us all across the country. So
You guys have probably heard about the 2 guides who first spotted you. Do you want to talk about that and your reaction to? There were the 2 guides that initially spotted and then called in the coordinates to where you guys were eventually found.
Yeah, so what we understand, and I hope I get his name right. I think it's Nate Sutter, is the person who is referenced in the article today in the local newspaper. He had seen them from a distance. I want to say maybe a ridge over, and said that he saw someone in a white raincoat. So that's Kelsey's now famous white raincoat. And when I arrived and my friend Ted and I got to the command center on Wednesday night, one of the things that was mentioned by the search and rescue team was they had some good news, a spotting of a single person in a white raincoat. And the first thing that jumped into my mind was, well, it's probably not Kelsey. She wouldn't be up on the top of a ridge by herself in a white raincoat. She probably would have been with her sisters. Well, it actually was her up on the ridge in a white raincoat, headed up to the top of the ridge where the girls had actually built a signal fire. So,
where, if you don't mind my asking, where had you guys intended to go when you set out?
Well, we had about 7 different plans. So we had Plan A, and then we transferred to Plan B, and then we transferred to Plan C as we were going. So what it ended up being is that we were hoping to pick up Horse Creek Trail on the way out, realized we weren't where we wanted to be, and called it quits.
I've done something very similar.
I know you don't want to go into the story, but at what moment did you realize we might be lost? We don't know where we are. We made a wrong turn. How far?
That's a long story, I think.
Yeah.
Not something we can answer.
Lots
right
of
now.
details.
Can you talk about your supplies? You had said that they had everything they needed. I'm just curious, what did you have on you? That's a big question we're getting, is what did you have? What maybe did you wish you had on you?
Well, I'm not sure we wished we had anything except 10 days of food, which we didn't expect that we needed. Other than that, we had everything that we could have wanted. We had whistles, we had a solar blanket, we had a stove, we had plenty of extra fuel, we had packed a little bit of extra fuel, we had a water filter, we chose a spot that had a river close by so that we could go down and get water pretty easily. I mean, we all had warm enough gear, great sleeping bags. I mean, just the list of hiking gear that everybody should bring along, good first aid kit. So, yeah.
and I would say I think our Shirley's and my biggest concern as the days started to go on was what would happen with their food supply, because we all know the most important thing was that they had water and fresh water, and you can survive a lot longer on water than you can on food. But they did a nice job rationing the food that they had. One of the evenings they didn't eat their dinner because they were just tired from their hike before the incident actually started. And so one of the meals that they had was saved, and it ended up being a good thing as they had some additional food for them over the course of the days. But again, they did all the right things. They rationed out their food. They made sure that they got the right amount of rest and just stayed in the right presence of mind and stayed in one place like you'd want your kids to do. So.
Were there any encounters with wildlife, or were there precautions about?
I've hiked with my daughters before. My wife and I have hiked with our daughters before. We never have seen wildlife ever. And a lot of that is just because, and it's a good hiking skill to have. We just made a lot of noise as a family. They make a lot of noise together. Sing songs. I think they sang the Star Spangled Banner on the 4th of July at the top of the ridge. There's just lots of fun things that you do to keep your minds occupied and not think about the things that can take you down a place where you don't want to be in a situation like that. So again, all of those things that we did as a family that then translate into just good skills as kids as they go out and do fun things on their own as they grow up to be young adults. They just did a great job, and I'm truly proud of it.
Any advice the three of you would give to somebody else setting out on an adventure like this? In terms of planning, what not to do?
I'll take it. The only thing that yeah, tell us where you're going. That would be really helpful. And one of the nice things about the national parks that I think, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong here, nice thing about the national parks that we've always done is typically you go into a national park office, you actually make a plan, you hike a plan, there are specific points that you go to, point A, B, C, D, you buy a permit. All of those types of things are very formal in the national park system, and we've done a lot of that. Because of their desire to do something a little bit more remote. You can go into the National Forest any place and really not have to tell anybody about where you're going. And that's just one of those things that as you think about any trip that all of you have ever been on, there's a couple of things that you wish you would have done better and different, and one of those things might be, hey, what trailhead are you going in on? So the nice thing is that I think as we alerted the Sheriff's Department about their plight on Tuesday, Wednesday when I was getting off the plane in Minneapolis to transfer to go to come down here to Jackson, they've actually located the car. So they located the car very quickly. Part of that was through some of the great work that they did in the Sheriff's Department to get access to one of the cell phones that gave a GPS ping that helped us identify where the car was at, so you could narrow the search from 3.5 million acres down to maybe 100 square miles. So that was probably the thing that was the biggest win from my perspective on making sure that we were able to find them was all the, again, that's just an example of the great investigative work that we all might take for granted, that they did a great job as a sheriff's group and a search and rescue team to find our kids.
Eric, I'll share a story that I don't think I've shared with you, but the other piece of information that we found out is that they went to the Jackson Hole and Greater Yellowstone Visitor Center, an interagency visitor center here in town, and purchased a Grovant Wilderness map for $18.95, and I thought, wow, now that is quite a significant use of technology. But that was another, there were so many small clues. I know sometimes we curse our technology, but there are times when it can really prove to be very helpful when you're looking for someone. So, how are we doing on time?
I think we're just about done. So again, in summary, just thanks for everybody for coming out today. We're very thankful for the community here in Jackson and all the people that helped us and all the communities around the country that were praying for us. Thank you.
Eric felt that he had not given adequate thanks yesterday, though in the brief interview that he did when I asked what he would like as a backdrop, he made it very clear that he wanted some of the searchers in the background. So we all felt that he expressed his gratitude adequately, but I did want to introduce a couple other people. Sheriff Jim Whalen was the incident commander on this event. Tim Carlin from Teton County Search and Rescue was working up heading up the operations division. Tim, what time did you smile? 10:15 a.m., I believe. It was finally when I saw a smile on Tim's face. So those were a few of the people involved. You do have a couple other searchers here in the room today if you want to take some time afterwards. But again, thank you so much for coming today. Thank you for your coverage of this incident. And thank you so much to the family for taking this opportunity. We really appreciate your thanks and your friendship. Thank you.
Thanks.
Can we get a group photo?
Sure.
Sure.
And we'd be happy to do
I don't know
those
if you
today,
want-
and we'd be happy to smile.
You may want to do it just in front of the podium.
My apologies for being a little bit camera shy yesterday, but we weren't ready for that.
No apologies needed.
Okay, good. Thanks. We have a plan now.
All right.
It's Andrew's sheriff. Yeah, all the same.
Sheriff's deputy. I mean, so, I mean, I'm just taking, this was all just. Right.